welcome to our InDesign tutorial. I am really excited about this because when I first started my business, I had a graphic design background, and so I naturally had InDesign as a part of my business workflow. I made my own graphics, I made my own bridal guide, and I did all those things on my own because I knew how to do them. And now, because of the way that Adobe Creative Cloud is set up, almost anybody can have access to Creative Cloud programs on their computer, and one of those programs is InDesign. And InDesign is created for making magazines and large documents and PDFs and a lot of things that small business owners need to make on a regular basis, and yet they have no skills to be able to do it. And so what happens is that we shy away from certain projects, or we don't buy templates, or we don't create graphics for our blog like we want to, just because we don't know how to. And so I'm going to teach you some of the basics of InDesign. My disclaimer is I am not a pro at this, but I have been doing it since high school, and I feel like I could probably show you some of the most, basic necessities to the program so that you can do it on your own. Our online store, the collection, is full of templates that we love to share. We have a pricing template, we have the bridal guide, and what we've found is that we love selling these templates, but we've been selling Photoshop versions as well. For people who don't have InDesign, and that's actually doing you a huge disservice because Photoshop was never meant to be a document builder. It was never meant to design magazines. It's for photo manipulation. And so I'm going to talk about InDesign, and my hope is that everyone who has our Photoshop templates from Bridal Guides and the pricing kit, we're going to send you or make available InDesign versions of those templates so that you can use them in InDesign instead of Photoshop, because I think using a Photoshop template is great, but now that Adobe InDesign is actually affordable, I would much rather you use InDesign because InDesign was made for this type of template work. So I'm going to explain all the basics, but I just wanted to give you a little intro and explain why this is so important. So get excited. The purpose of this whole tutorial is to empower photographers to be able to use this program to create better blogging graphics, to be better with their marketing, and just to have another skill set that will help them run their business more effectively. So I hope you enjoy this, and let's go to my computer screen. Hey everybody, and welcome to our free InDesign class. This is something I've been excited to do for a long time. And before we get started, I just want to explain a few housekeeping things. One, I do not claim to be a professional at InDesign. I am a photographer and a small business owner, but I'm not a graphic designer. I've had training in this over the years, and I've used it for over 7 or 8 years, I think. And so I just want to put that out there. But I do know it well enough to know that it is really a vital part of my business. I could not have done what I've done without this program, and I recommend it for anybody who's running any type of small business, whether it's creative or not. But I first want to talk about how you can access InDesign if you don't already have it. And so let me click right over, and I'm going to show you the Creative Cloud website where it's the cheapest it has ever been. So when I bought InDesign back in high school, I think it was $700 for the whole suite, or a couple $100 if you wanted InDesign. And now you can actually pay per month if you want. So this would be an annual plan, $19 a month, but what you could do if you wanted was you could have a monthly plan where, say you decide, I'm going to get a template, I'm going to make my bridal guide or my pricing guide, and I only need it for 2 months or maybe just 1 month. And you could just pay to have access to it, $30 one-time fee, or you can do what we do, and we do $19 a month. Actually, I think we might do the yearly thing where we just pay all at once. We have this, if I'm being completely honest, we have this because I use a lot of other things in the Creative Cloud suite. So, but it's really up to you. I just wanted to make you aware of how affordable it is now. So if you don't do a lot of design work and you just need to get a few things done for your business, I recommend doing it for a month at a time. And that'll really keep you on target to getting it done fast because you don't want to pay for an extra month. So let's get started. I am going to give you a little peek of our pricing guide template. Basically, we have a pricing kit with a pricing ebook that explains all of our education about pricing and how to know what you're worth and all the value and how to raise prices and all that good stuff. But it comes with the ebook and it comes with this template. So this template is what we show to our clients when they inquire with us about booking us for their wedding. And so if you bought the pricing template, you've seen this before, but if not, you're getting a little sneak peek today. And I'm going to show you a few basics. So the reason why InDesign is so important is because InDesign was designed to be a magazine, brochure, pamphlet builder, all of those good things. Photoshop was never made to be that type of program. And so if you're spending a lot of time designing all of your paper goods and all of your guides for your clients and everything like that, all of your PDFs, if you use them, if you're doing that in Photoshop, you're really doing a huge disservice for yourself. This was created. So let me jump in. I'm going to explain some sections, and my goal for this is I want you to be able to walk away from this free little class and know enough about InDesign to start using it and be your own designer, so you don't have to pay $300 every single time you need something tweaked from a graphic designer. I want you to be able to get some of our templates and really get great use out of them and know how to tweak them and customize them and get those projects done quickly. So let me first explain a little bit about the workspace here. So right now I have 3 files open. I have my pricing file open, I have my bridal guide open, and I also have an Ask Anything template. This is how I make templates for my blog. I have that open. So just wanted to show you that. So you can make this window or your workspace look however you want. But I'm going to focus on a little bit of this area right now. And so this is actually called your advanced workspace. And if it's not visible, you can go to Window, Workspace, and make sure you click Advanced, because it's going to give you all of your options. Now when you look over here, it says Pages, Layers, Links. The only ones that I'm going to hit on are Pages, I'm going to hit on Links, I'm going to talk about Stroke, Swatches, and character styles, because that's really all that I use. But some other people out there probably have great use for other things. I just don't use those. All right, so let's talk about all the different sections of this advanced workspace over here. So the first thing I want to pay attention to are pages. When you click pages, this is going to pop out and it's going to show you, you can see your whole document at a glance. And this is really important for things like the bridal guide, because my bridal guide is really big. So when I zoom out, all I'm doing is hitting Command minus. But look how big this thing is. It is a massive bridal guide. And for those who purchase the bridal guide, the reason why it's a little bit more expensive is not only because it's huge, but because you're getting access to all of our information. So you don't have to come up with all of your explanation about timeline or about pre-ceremony and getting ready tips. You can use all of our information, and so that's why it's a little bit bigger of a product, more expensive, but it is a life changer. I wish I could tell you how many times our brides send us thank you cards and emails and texts just because they love getting these things in the mail. So Pages over here is going to come in really handy when you have big documents, because you'll be able to double click and go directly to the page you want to work on. So now that we've talked about pages, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about links, this lovely little area here. If you click it and open it up, you're going to see a lot of different file names. What's happening is that it's showing you all of the different images that you've used in your template or in your document, whatever you're working on. So this image is listed right there. This image is listed right there. And this works just like Lightroom. So wherever this image is located and connected to this document, if I was to move it, then I would get a red question mark here and a red question mark right here. Because this little, let me zoom in for you. This little area here is showing that it's a correctly linked to the original file. And then it shows the placed file when you hover over it. So now I'm going to show you how a link will look if it is not linked anymore. So let's go to my link folder, and I'm going to hide how messy my desktop is. So link folder, let's go in and say that we're going to get rid of this image, and I'm going to drag it to the desktop. I'm just going to pull it over. So what's going to happen when you go here again is that when you zoom in, it's going to show now a red question mark because InDesign doesn't know where this image is located. So all you have to do is double click this and it's going to prompt you to say, okay, where is that image? Well, I drove it to the desktop. It's right here. And if right here is clicked when you're searching for missing links, then it's going to relink every image that's also in this location. But for us, it's just this one. So you're going to open up, and it's relinked again. Okay, so now you can see how linking images work. So I'm going to scroll out again so you can, and whenever I'm doing that, I'm just doing command plus or minus. So that should be helpful. That's just a little quick tip. So what we're going to do is I'm going to keep going and explain a little bit more about this section over here. With links, I think you pretty much understand. Now, when it says PNG file, that's the type of file that this is for my logo, so that there's no background. It's just the object. But you want to make sure you gather all of these things that you end up using and just store them in one location where they can stay. So just make copies of those images and put them in a new folder, and you'll be good to go. I actually recommend having a project folder for this, so you'd have like your InDesign file, your folder full of images, and then the finished product can live in that folder as well. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's get rid of links and click out of that. And let's talk a little bit about text boxes and stroke and stuff like that. So stroke is basically an outline of whatever you're working on. So let me give you a little quick example. When you zoom in here, and this box has a very fine stroke around the edges. So when you click that open and this is selected, you'll see that the weight, which is the size of the stroke, is 0.5. If I was to make that 10, it's going to be like that. Okay, so let's keep it at 0.5, so it's just a little bit visible. Very clean lines, very thin lines look more high-end in my opinion. So you can also do stroke on text, okay? So if you are editing text like this, right now that text is gray with no stroke. All right, so stroke is also over here. So you can adjust stroke by clicking here, or you can adjust stroke by highlighting and clicking from over here. So let's make stroke on this font, this text, 10 points. Yikes. Let's make it just half. There you go. See how it looks kind of like bubble letters? We don't want any stroke on our fonts. There's very few times that I ever use that in, so you just want to ignore that. But if for some reason your fonts are looking weird, maybe it's preset to have stroke, you want to go over here and see how stroke is above, like it's listed above the font color. You're going to click this. Alright, so now it has no stroke and it just has a normal font color. It did make my font black, so that leads us right into our swatches over here. So let's get out of stroke and let's go to swatches, and I'm going to double click this, and you want to make sure that this box is above this box, or else you can't change the color this way. So make sure the T is above. That's basically saying that the font is what you're editing, not the stroke, because there is no stroke. So swatches are where colors are kept, and I actually created, you can go down here, create new swatches. You can also create color groups. So I have a KJ brand color group with my colors in here, and so I'm going to make it my gray. All right, just like that. And so now when you click off, perfect. So that's the color I want to keep it. I'm going to zoom out, and wonderful. So that's great. So that's basically where you can find your colors. This is my teal. If I wanted to make this teal, I could. And that's way too, so I'm going to do Command Z, I'm going to undo, and I'm going to keep going. So when you're changing colors like that, I recommend going and finding your color. So these are the numbers for my color, my brand color. You want to make sure you stay consistent with all of your colors in your brand so that everything is perfectly unified and cohesive online, from your website to your pricing guide to your blog to your business cards. Everything needs to be the same color number. All right, so that's swatches. If you don't want to adjust color here, you can adjust color here. So let's select this again, and you could always change color here. You could paste in your color number here if you want to, or you could hand select, but I don't recommend that because it will not be consistent. So let's talk really quick over this way. This image is blurry, but it says it's linked. Sometimes it does this when you have really high-res files. I'm being honest, I don't know why it does it sometimes, but when I export it, it's perfectly clear. So just understand that sometimes it looks like this, and that's okay. You just want to make sure this is linked, and when you go to your link bar over here, everything is fine. You don't see any red errors. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about stroke and color and rectangular boxes. So this is just a box that I made, and I made it by clicking here and just going like this. All right. The reason why it turned teal inside is because of this, but if I wanted to have no color on the inside and just stroke, I could swap. So now I just have an outline of a teal box and nothing in the middle. Now I really don't need that for anything, so let's delete it. But I just wanted to show you how to make these boxes if you wanted to. Again, if you want the stroke to be thin, you would come over here and you would make it probably 0.25 or 0.5 font. Okay, so that's how you make boxes. Now let's talk a little bit about how images are placed into boxes. So, and because I want you to see a little bit more of our pricing guide, I'm going to scroll all the way down to frequently asked questions, and I'm going to explain a little bit about image boxes and outlines of fonts. So let's talk about that. So let's zoom in. And so right now these are image boxes, and you can select just the box. Like this is basically the size of the box, the shape of the box, but you're not going to adjust the image. Whoops, I was selecting there. Whoops, here we go. You're not going to select the image. You're literally just changing the size of the box, not how cropped or zoomed in. If you want to change how zoomed in the image is, you have to double click so that you see the orange box. This is where the actual image is lying. So if I wanted to zoom in and only see the arbor, you're going to zoom out, and then you can adjust. You could go even further if you want. The tricky thing is here, when I'm clicking right here to zoom in and out, I'm clicking shift before I click here, and that makes sure that I keep my dimensions. If I just click it and I don't click shift, then this is what happens. It starts to get really warped, and you can't do that. So you want to make sure you click shift to make sure all of your dimensions stay the same way. So now if I wanted to add another image, instead of just adjusting this one, but I need to make room for it, then you make sure it's blue again on the outside, not orange like that. So double click, make sure it's blue. And then you could just do copy, paste. You could put another image box here if you wanted to. And pull this over so you have good spacing in between, wherever it is. There you go. There you go. I want to make sure it doesn't fall off the side there. So that's how you would add another image. Let's put a picture in here. So that's very important. I can't believe I haven't explained this so far. When you add an image into InDesign, you have to place it. You can't just insert it or drag and drop. So actually I think you can drag and drop, but it's easier to explain this way. So you're going to go to File, Place. You're going to find the image that you want. Let's say it's this image. Okay, so right now if you double click, this image is huge. I want it to fit more in that square, so I'm going to click it back to the blue box, go over here, and you can fit your content in that way. And now you double click, slide it over, there you go. Alright, so for this image you can fit your content in it like that. Scoot it over a little bit so it's more centered, and that's how you would add an image. So let's zoom in and just look right here really quick, because my image is not completely filling the bottom right here. So instead of going like this, because that's moving it up here, that's not what we want, you got to double click and move it down like that. So that now we're, oh nope. Alright, so I'm going to actually stretch it here like this, and now scoot it up. So that way when you click off, everything's filled. So now you know how to add an image just like that. Now I don't think that looks very good. I think it looks too heavy over here, but now you know how to change it on your own. So let's talk a little bit about paragraph styling and font styling. I need to explain what outlines are. So right now, do you see that little blue line around all of the lettering here? The swoopy font that I have included in my templates, legally I cannot distribute that to people, but I wanted you to see what it looks like. And so this is actually not a font anymore. I made it an outline, so it's just like an image. So the way that you do that is you select the font box, go to type and click create outlines, and that makes it uneditable. You can't edit this. If you double click, you won't get a cursor. It's literally just an image. But if you wanted to add your own frequently asked question like this, swoopy, you would go to the T tool, the type tool. You'd make your own font box. You would type FAQs, and then you would make this whatever you want. So let's find a swoopy font. Like my swoopy font is Feast. Some of you guys might have other swoopy fonts like, let's find one down here that's a little bit different. Actually, I don't know why I'm doing that. I can just use this one. Okay, so FAQs, say that was the one I wanted to use because it matches my brand. All right, it's a little bit light, and it's spread out quite a bit. It's still at 340, so I'm going to bring it down to here. So what I did, I haven't explained that yet, is I just changed how far my letters were spaced apart. So that's going to make it wide. If I did 600, they're going to be really far apart. I want it to be just like 50, okay? So we're getting closer. So I can get rid of this because I'm making my own. FAQs. If this is kind of hard to read, you probably don't want to use this font, and because it's my brand font. So I made it size 72. That's better. Okay, and then I could place it right here. Now let's say you want to use something that's a little bit easier to read. Let's change it again. Let's go in and use like this one. Or yeah, this, well, X one, that's fine. Actually, it looks like what it already was. So you're going to zoom in, make it a little bit bigger. Now here's something very interesting. Actually, I don't like that either. Let's change it again. If you can't tell, I'm very picky. Let's go to Bickham script. That's an easy one. Where is it? I don't know where it is. Here we go. Okay, I think that's what it was originally. So, so this is interesting. You want to make sure that your text box is not hindering. If you get to, it's going to do that. It's going to create a little red box if you make it too small. So you got to make sure it's big enough to show off your font. Now if I double click this, it says it's at 50. That's how far it's spaced. I actually want to keep it just normal. So no spacing in between the letters since it's a cursive font. But I do think that it needs to be quite a bit bigger. So I'm going to go up here and do like 108. Wow, that's really big. Probably shouldn't keep it that size. Now here's something. I don't think this looks good because it's the same color as the wedding experience. So what I would do is I would go over to swatches and go down here and make it mint. Now it's still bothering me because it's on top of the wedding experience. So you're going to select that text box, go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. And now it's behind the wedding experience. So that's an option. I just wanted to show you how you can create your own swoopy font. I just included them in there as outlines so that you could see what the design looked like, and hopefully you can create your own. It doesn't happen very often that that's the case, but I just wanted to show you. So when you zoom out, you can kind of see like legacy is an outline, thank you is an outline, this random, where did that go? Whoops, sorry. Random fact right here is an outline. Everything else you can just double click and edit yourself, but the swoopy fonts you need to add in yourself. Same goes for wedding. Alright, so let's zoom back into frequently asked questions, and let's talk a little bit about how to space your paragraphs. Okay, so this paragraph is spaced out 22 points. All right, so right up here is where we're going to adjust that. If you did it at 6 points, it's going to look like a jumbled mess. Yep. So I would rather keep it at 22. It allows you to have less content but fill up more space, and also makes it easier to read while keeping your font small. So I keep the font somewhat small just because my website has smaller font and it does look more high-end. So that's how you space in between lines. Let me show you over here how you space in between letters. So right now when you select engagements, you'll go up here and realize it says 340 right here. This is kind of like what I showed you a second ago with FAQ. Let's say we make it 600. It's going to really get big. It's really spread out. All right, like that. And that's not what we want. It looks a little too overkill. But now you know. Okay, so the opposite side of it is if you go to 0, it's just going to look like a normal font. If you notice though, comparing this to this, which looks more high-end?
this one. Spacing and smaller fonts always look more expensive and high-end. So I tend to space any type of titles I have. That's just my style, but you don't have to keep it that way if you don't want to. If you are working with a paragraph and for some reason you change the font size and the actual paragraph text box is like this and it can't fit everything, you're going to see that red mark. That means you're going to need to expand it until everything is shown. Okay, so another good example of this would be, let's change this to, say I just wrote something in a different font, like let's use Minion Pro. So now it's Minion Pro, and we're going to make it -10, and that doesn't look anything like this. So say that happens. Well, you can actually make it really easy on yourself and have saved character styles. So right now I have a character style that's saved as Garamond Stretched, which is basically our headline. Alright, so you click that and it goes directly back to the character style that you're using. And you can save that per project. So when you work on the bridal guide, for example, the bridal guide is just massive. It's like over 50 pages of content. And so if you know that you're using your own fonts, like see these are outlines, you're going to use your own font. Then once you get the font in there, you pick the color you want, the style you want, how far apart the letters, then just go into character styles and create a character for whatever. You got to highlight it. Actually, it cannot be something with outlines. It's got to be normal like this. So you can create a new character style, and you can label it maybe paragraph text. Whoops, if I can spell, for bridal guide. Okay, and now you have your paragraph text in a style, and you just click that and it'll match the whole your text to the rest of the document. So hopefully that was helpful. So another cool thing that I should show you is, you see how all these blue lines, like the guidelines that you can drag down from here, like you can see line things up here, or you could do it from over on this side to make sure these things are lined up. That's all well and good, but when you zoom out, it's just hard to see what the clean design is going to look like. So you want to go to View and do Overprint Preview, and it strips away all of that. So that you can see, now you still have a few of the guides, but it takes away all the boxes around, like all these blue boxes are gone. And that just really helps you see what it's going to look like when it's printed, and have a better idea of the way it's actually going to look when the designing process is done. Okay, so we're moving right along. We're getting a lot accomplished. I know this is getting long, so I'm going to try to finish up. I want to show you a few things with our bridal guide. For those of you who have never seen our bridal guide, this is by far the best way that we educate our clients. So as soon as someone books to be a KJ bride, we send them a printed copy of this. It's a thick magazine. We print it at magcloud.com, so magcloud.com, and it's a really high-end magazine feel to it, really thick pages, glossy, but not too glossy. It still looks fancy. We print it, we put it in a box, tie a big ribbon around it. I send them a note that says, "Welcome to the KJ Bride family. I hope this comes in handy as you continue to plan your big day." I welcome them, share a table of contents. I explain everything about why their engagement session is so important and what to expect. I help them pick out their outfits and give them tips. Then I give them outfit inspiration. Then we start to plan their wedding day. So then we talk about the timeline from the details all the way through to the exit, and this is with a first look because I want to educate my clients on why a first look is so beneficial. I basically say to them, hey, and I'll zoom in so you can see this. I basically say, hey, here are the details. I'm going to do all those in the morning, and I explain why that's important. It gets me all warmed up. Then we do bridal prep. This is when the bride gets in her dress, puts on her earrings. Then we do the first look, explain a little bit about that. I basically explain everything about the timeline, and guess what happens? The majority of my clients, when it comes time to figure out their timeline, they say, you know what you had in your book sounded great, let's just do that. And it's amazing. So the trick is you have to show them something that makes them want what you are offering. I can't just say, hey, here's a timeline and list it out with the name and the times and no pictures. You got to show them why it's beneficial. So that's why the bridal guide's so awesome. So then we move into pre-ceremony, talking about what you need to get ready, why you need a window in the getting ready room so you have portraits like this. Details, I list out all the details they need. Other detail tips about bringing extra elements and making sure you keep the rings with you, all that good stuff. Timing, first look, there's a huge first look section, massive. I have testimonials from grooms. And what's great is that if this is your template and you're buying this for yourself, you can go in and leave all this the same, import a different image. So let's go to File, Place. Okay, let's say that let's find an image that we can use. Let's say Huey and Natalie talk to us and give us a quote about a first look, and you want to change it out. So now what you would do is that you would zoom in, you'd double click on this, you'd paste in the new comment, but say it's hard to read. In my image, it was so easy to read on. Well, do you see this box over here? You can copy and paste that box. You can pull it over. You can stretch it a little bit. And you're going to want to object arrange send to back. That put it behind the image. So now we're going to send the image to the back. Alright, so now its text is above the box, but the box is above the image. So it's in a great place. But instead of making it gray, we need to make it white. Okay, so we're going to make it white. Now I think we need to make it a little bit more opaque. So we're going to go up here and move it up to more like 66%. That's great. Okay, so now it's easier to read. All right, so just like that, very easy way to design your own and make it your own. But you want to make sure you change the names and all that good stuff. All right, so testimonials from first looks, all about the ceremony. We get into details about lighting for the ceremony, the order of the service, programs, details. This is where you can talk about convincing them to have an unplugged ceremony, all that. Destination wedding section, talking about romantic portraits. This is one of my favorite places because you basically get to create your own book of your work. And our clients have never seen our work printed until they get this magazine in the mail. And that's the #1 response we get is, I love seeing your work printed. I can't believe I get my own pictures like this. So amazing. Bridal party, just a little snippet there. You could add pages. This is about bridal party attire. And then we get into reception planning, and a thank you from us. Now, if you wanted to add your own page, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I had this idea of, in our own bridal guide, of creating inspiration maybe for like reception decor. So what you could do is you want to make sure you're clicked on this page somewhere, doesn't matter where. Go to layout is actually where we need to go. Layout, pages, add a page. All right, and let me go back actually, let me undo, because I need to go to, instead of add pages, we're going to insert pages, we're going to insert 2. Okay, so now we have, that's perfect. So what I could do is, if I want to add like, hey, here's outfit inspiration, maybe I want to do bridal inspiration or reception inspiration. You can copy it, paste it here, scoot it over, probably easier if I drag it, okay, just like that. And you do want to be careful when you're printing this that you make sure people are inside, like, because it crops in right about here. So you got to be careful about that. But now you can just go place any files you want. Let's say we place this one, make it fit, cute. Let's do this. I mean, you could do so much with this. And it's already spaced out perfectly for you, and you can just make it yourself. Planners, if you're thinking about getting your own bridal guide, making it yourself, this would be a great place to do like barn wedding inspiration, ballroom wedding inspiration, stuff like that. Okay, and then you would just double click, not on the swoopy font. Why? Because that's an outline. Oh, I think that's an outline too. So you just need to create your own text box because those fonts are not included. I'm sorry, it's just against the law. All right, so full spread images, that's pretty self-explanatory. I think I'm getting to the end. So hopefully after 45 minutes with me, you really understand InDesign a lot better. We talked about everything from the advanced toolbar over here. Other stuff like object styles, that's all just more advanced. You can totally make your life easier if you get to know these other things like layers and stuff like that, but you don't have to know it to use our templates. So before I leave, let me just show you a little bit about how to export. So when you save this document, it's going to save as an InDesign file, and you want to make it a PDF. So let's go to pricing. We're going to go File, Export, and you're going to tell it where to go. So let's say we're going to save it in the pricing guide folder. You're going to make sure down here to click PDF. If you are using it online and you want to use like links as live links, you could click interactive. And then you're just going to save that. You're going to make sure you are exporting all the pages. Spreads are going to keep them like one, like you're going to have 2 pages in a full spread. And that's really important for this because you do not want this to be separated from that. So make sure it says spreads. I recommend exporting it at a higher resolution just to be safe. If it's too big though, you can always go back down to 72 dpi and then export. If it says something is overset, that's normally okay. It just means the box is hanging over the side. And missing fonts, I don't even use that font anymore. Normally that's okay, but you want to make sure it's not one of your main fonts. And then you click OK, and you can always click OK here. That was just saying that it's CMYK, and because I clicked interactive, it's going to change it to RGB. So okay, so it's exporting. I'm going to cancel though because I really don't want to export this because I did a lot of weird things, like added this. So I hope this was helpful. I know it's long, it's lengthy, you had to listen to me talk for a really long time, but now you know, and you now have access and the ability to create your own PDFs, your own documents, and you can use our templates. So I encourage you, if you love the pricing guide and you want something like this to show your pricing and information to clients, or if you want a bridal magazine that's like over 50 pages long, but you don't have the time to make it yourself, go ahead and do it. Do yourself a favor and invest in this. And I encourage you to get the version with content so that you don't have to create all the text yourself. All right, guys, so I think we covered pretty much everything you need to know to get started in InDesign. I explained a lot of things in this area, everything you need to know to use our templates at least, and I just want to encourage you that if you loved the pricing guide and you want to create something like this for your own clients, or you loved the bridal guide and you want a massive project to get done, and you've been working on it for 2 years. It took me 2 years to create this, and I finally got it done and realized other photographers need this because our brides love it so much. So if that's where you are and you don't want to create the content, use ours, customize it a little bit so it doesn't use our names or our images, and get this thing done in a week. You know, have something to send to your brides the next time they book. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for sticking with me. I know it was a lot, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.